Hey, I'm on the edge of my seat here, back again with another brand new video, and today I will be no damaging the entirety of Ice Age 2: The Meltdown for the Nintendo Wii. Though this game was released for other consoles like the PS2, GameCube I believe, maybe Xbox, but the version which runs at 60 FPS is only the Nintendo Wii version and the PC version of the game. But to play the PC version of the game, I don't want to set that up, and I have much more nostalgic memories playing the Nintendo Wii version. I do have memories with this game. This is actually part of my childhood. And I like to mention an important YouTuber here, Stinkek. It's kind of spelled like stink, you know, like S-T-I-N-K, like E-X. So there's the kek at the end there, like Stinkek or Stinky. I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't know how to pronounce it, I'm sorry. But they speedran the game at 1 hour and 10 minutes, and yeah, that is much faster than this video, which is 1 hour and 16 minutes, but it wouldn't really matter if my video was faster or not, because I'm not doing a speedrun. I'm doing a segmented run of the game, which, I mean, do segmented speedruns exist? I mean, like, there's speedruns for certain sections. I think that's a thing that exists. But, like, actual segmented speedruns of, like, an entire thing? I don't know about that. Like, I wasn't even trying to get a speedrun anyways, but, like, their video was very helpful with, like, you know, what to do in certain parts, you know, like, certain paths to follow, and, yeah. And, I don't know, one thing which is kind of sad about speedrunning this game is that sometimes you have to avoid collecting all these acorns, and it's just, like, it's so satisfying, you know, you just walk into the acorn and you just collect it. I love that. I adore that. But, yeah, this actually was a part of my childhood. I played it when I was, like, 6, you know, 7, 8 years old. I forgot exactly when I played it, but I did play it, and I did beat it as a child. And, like, you know, in retrospect, since I beat it today, it is a very easy game, so I understand how I could beat it as a child. But, you know, like, I got stuck on certain parts as a child, you know, like, there were certain parts where I'm like, where's, like, the special nut I need to get, you know? And it just, I got memories of this game. It's just, like, and now playing it again, I am still very fond of this game. Like, my only real issue is, like, it's kind of a game for babies, you know? Like, it's not very long, it's not very hard, but, you know, it's pleasant. You know, I like jumping around as this rat. This is not a rat, he's more like a squirrel, you know, whatever Scrat is. But, you know, I like jumping around as him. You know, you got like these nice little environments, you know, like the game looks somewhat pretty for its age. You know, you got like snow environments, you got desert environments, you know, like the model is like, and that's the thing, it also runs at 60 FPS because it's a Nintendo Wii version. Like all the other versions of the game don't run at 60 FPS. I remember I tried to emulate the GameCube version of this game because I had nostalgic memories for it, but it just felt off emulating it. And I don't know if it was my computer like running it really slowly or just the game itself, but honestly, it might have been the game itself because it was running at 30 FPS when it could have been running at a buttery smooth 60 FPS. So I just kind of screwed myself there. But yeah, so the way this game works is you either, you know, walk forward to like the next area, or you can't traverse to the next area until you collect like 3 or 4 special nuts, or until you do a certain objective. And yeah, back there I had to collect 3 special nuts, and I waited to collect the nut at like the entrance of like the next area because, you know, it kind of speeds things up. Because if I collected the 3rd nut at like the other part of the area, then I just had to like go all the way back to the entrance of the next area. And here we're gonna play a little mini game. So that's kind of the game flow here. You know, you have walk forward, collect nuts in certain area. You know, kind of like Banjo-Kazooie, but nowhere near as intensive. And that's kind of weird because Banjo-Kazooie isn't really an intensive game, but you know, there's a lot more to collect than doing Banjo-Kazooie than here. You know, here it's pretty simple. You know, at most you'll collect like 3 or 4 hidden nuts in the area. And then at some point you'll play a little mini game, and these mini games can vary from a mini game to a mini game. You know, there's not really much to them. Here you have a little stealth mini game. You know, you have to collect these acorns, you know, in the select amount of time, while also playing dead whenever Diego looks back. And there is kind of a pattern to it. You kind of have to learn it. You know, at first he'll look back, and then he'll look back for real, and then for the rest of the time he'll just do that until he gets to a certain point where he looks back, but then he does it twice. You know, I've been caught off guard by this when I've been repeating this section over and over again. Like, did you catch that? He looked back twice, and now he's gonna do the big jump for real, and then boom, play dead. And also, I decided to follow the pattern where you start from the left, you collect all the nuts there, and then you go from the right. Now, what's the advantage to this? I'm not 100% sure. I think you probably could have gone right and done the same thing. But maybe it's like slightly faster to do it from the left, you know, speedrunning purposes and all that. And now, we have some special nuts to collect, and yeah, this is a no damage thing, and sometimes those bats would clip me, and I don't really have a concrete strategy on how to avoid those bats. But this is a special thing which you need to know only for this part of the game, and maybe if you're doing 100% completion, but Some nuts can be acquired, like the special nuts, by sniffing bushes, and you're not gonna really know what bush it is until you know. But if you start sniffing, then maybe you'll get like a golden aroma in the air. You gotta go, and that's how you get the nut. So remember that, because, well, it's never gonna come up again. Like, I mean, if you do 100% completion, maybe it'll come up to collect some of, like, this, more acorns in, like, bushes and all that. So, you might have to sniff again, but it's just kind of weird that you never have to do the sniffing thing for another area in the game to collect, like, a mandatory story nut, So it's just kind of weird. This is the last time you need to sniff around to get a nut. So, just keep that in mind. And I would like to mention the way I'm actually recording this game, because I am playing on native hardware. So I have this thing called a RetroTink 5X. It's pretty expensive, but it pretty much natively upscales your games with the right setup. And I bought some wires for my Nintendo Wii, like, OG Nintendo Wii. However, having an OG Nintendo Wii does come with its drawbacks, and I learned in the RetroTink 5X Discord. They have their own Discord in case you have to like talk over like some technical issues, and I did have some technical issues because when I'm recording this game, like I have like these weird black and green and red dots that appear sometimes. They may become pretty noticeable around this section. Like when this is the next mini game we're gonna play, is just gonna be kind of like a little street vendor game. No, not a street vendor. That's not the word. Like where there's like the bottles. There's like the red cups, and you put something in one of the red cups, you start shifting the cups around. Well, it's kind of one of those games, but instead of being at a party, you're with 3 bats. And frankly, I don't even remember what these bats did in the movie, because like this game definitely makes a ton of references to the movies, and I did rewatch the first 2 Ice Age movies to get more commentary for this video. And what I've come away from the experience is that my most positive like interactions with Ice Age come from this game. I mean, like as a kid, I loved the movies. I mean, as a kid, I saw the first 3 movies, and I liked them quite a bit. But as an adult, my takeaway is this is the best piece of Ice Age media. Though to be fair, I'm not exactly an expert on Ice Age media. I've seen the first 3 films as a kid. I've rewatched the first 2 films recently, and I rebeaten this game recently. I haven't really played any of the other Ice Age games. It seems a lot of people have nostalgia for the 3rd one. I don't know, maybe I'll check that one out in a later date. But one thing I need to mention about my Nintendo Wii is that I completely skipped over it. Yeah, there's sometimes like black, red, or green dots in the footage, kind of like in the middle, just kind of like, they're kind of like dead pixels. And the reason for that is because apparently it's probable that my Wii's GPU is damaged. So the only way to really fix that issue, that little recording issue, is to just straight up buy a new Nintendo Wii. And like, I don't know, these days it's pretty expensive, because I could have sworn there was a day where like Nintendo Wii's used to cost like $50-$60, and it's like that's so cheap for a console. But now, like, I go into stores, I look online, it's like $120. It reminds me of the time where I went to like a website and they were selling a Super Nintendo for $20, and I bought it, and I did get a Super Nintendo. So like, but these days, I look around and Super Nintendo's like $120. So to be fair, the website I went on like a decade, like before, or maybe not even a decade, like 7 or 8 years ago, maybe 6 years ago, like that website wasn't eBay, it wasn't Amazon, it was something else in between. It was like a little sketch. But they did sell a Super Nintendo for $20. I got my Super Nintendo. The only issue is it didn't have any wires, so I had to buy the wires separately. But you know what? $20 for a Super Nintendo is still a killer deal. And frankly, I regret selling my Super Nintendo now, because now I don't have a Super Nintendo, even though I have like the perfect device to record. Oh yeah, that's another thing. Not only am I using the RetroTink 5X, I also upgraded my Elgato. I used to have like an Elgato Game Capture HD, but now I have an Elgato Game Capture like 60S Plus, because I really wanted to capture games at 1080p 60 FPS. However, I have learned I've been played a cruel joke on myself, and that joke is that this new Elgato can't record PS3 games whatsoever unless I get like a HDMI splitter. So now I need to buy an HDMI splitter to record PS3 games at 1080p 60 FPS, because like if you don't get the HDMI splitter, it's literally impossible, because the Game Capture HD, the old one, can't record games at 1080p 60 FPS. It can only record them at 1080p 30 FPS. It's like the only device which you don't need to get like an HDMI splitter for to record that gameplay, at least from the Elgato point of view, is one that only lets you record 1080p 30 FPS. And also this bowling mini game, this also reminds me a lot of my childhood because I could not beat this game for the life of me. I had my dad actually beat this game, and he was able to on his first try, which is insane. But now that I'm playing this as an adult, I can tell you why. Also, you may have noticed the aspect ratio has changed to become smaller, and that's because I messed up the aspect ratio like settings when I was playing this game again. So this is gonna be the only time that this aspect ratio is this small. It's like a straight 4:3 aspect ratio, while all the other footage is in like a 3:2 aspect ratio. And you know, like the thing with the RetroThink 5X is that it does kind of depend on the TV you play on to like record your footage, and also like the console, because I know you can play at like 16:9, 3:2, and also just depends on the game as well. But yeah, most of the footage will be in 3:2, but for this one mistake I did it in 4:3, and this section of the game was pretty annoying because I get to have to do this bowling minigame. This bowling minigame can kind of take a while, you know, like a minute or two, but I'm like spamming it, you know, I'm just spamming it and letting it go because I figured out the secret to this bowling game. And this bowling game, the reason I was not able to beat it as a child was because as a child I was conditioned to the way things work in Wii Sports Resort Bowling, but that is not how things work here. In Wii Sports Resort Bowling, there is kind of like this attempt to like replicate realistic physics. You know, you have to like swing the remote to kind of feel like you're throwing the bowling ball. And when you throw the bowling ball, you can kind of add like a little bit of spin to it. But did you just see that right there? It went all the way to the right, and it can go all the way to the left with a flick of the Wii remote. And I didn't know that. I just threw the Wii remote forward. You don't even have to do that. You just have to press the button A and it goes forward. And then you can tilt the Wii remote to drastically change this ball's trajectory at really any point whatsoever. And if you know that, you can just kind of keep spamming A and like slightly tilt it every now and then, and you'll get your strikes, you'll get your turkeys, and that's that. And also this character in the second movie, I like him. Also, I just accidentally showed an actual like footage from the second movie, and this popped up in my no commentary version, and thankfully my video did not get blocked worldwide, because when I was streaming the TMNT 2017 game on GameCube, whenever I would show like scenes, would show scenes from the movie, my video would get blocked worldwide. And my video, I of course mean my video, I'm like stuttering over here, like my stream would get blocked worldwide, even though it's like a game from like 2006 and 7. Like, calm down. Anyways, this slide I also have very, very fond memories of. I don't know what it is about this section of the game, but it's kind of like ingrained into like my subconscious as a child, and even as an adult. There's something very pleasant about this section of the gameplay. And, you know, I mean, for one, it's fun, you know, like, I mean, it is a bit challenging near the end to not get hit, you know, because, like, the icicles, you just keep popping on and on, so you kind of have to do, like, some slider maneuvers here and there, but, it's fun. I don't know, but, like, something as a child, it just spoke to me, like, you know, these flags, you know, the blood red color of the flags, the fact that there's a point where you go inside, like, the T-Rex skeleton, it freaking opens up and it's like a green section, but like, you know, green in like a scary positive context. And also these sections, so the speedrunner, which I, you know, took inspiration for like this video, they played the PC version, and I'll tell you one difference between the PC version and this version is that this rhythm game was actually nerfed, because the only inputs you can do to like match these inputs is by shaking the Wii remote. On PC, I'm sure you have to press a button, but here, you know, you have to shake the Wii remote left, shake the Wii remote like right. Look at this section right here is classic. Look at the rib cage right there. Oh, it's like, it's Lynchian. Look at all this. Just, oh, you gotta love it. You gotta love it. And as a child, I definitely loved it. Whenever I would go on a big slide, you know what was in the back of my head? It was this section from Ice Age 2, the Meltdown, the Nintendo video game. It's all so pleasant, except for this rhythm game part. I don't remember this, actually. I remember like everything else about this section except the fact they do a rhythm game, and frankly, I prefer the rhythm game wasn't here. Mostly because like on a Nintendo Wii, it's flimsy, because you can't get a perfect score every time unless you're like super good at timing, shaking that Wii remote. It's like it's not a common input. It's like, ah! I'm sure on like on other platforms it's not so bad, but when I say that they nerfed the rhythm game, is that you do like that whole rhythm thing like 3 times, and the third time on like any other console, like the inputs get insane, while on here they actually made the inputs less insane, because they know you wouldn't be able to shake a Wii remote that insanely, because, you know, they send like, you know, 12 like 16 arrows in this part, but here they kind of limit it to, you know, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, while in like every other version of the game it's like 19, because you wouldn't be able to do 19 with the Wiimote. It just isn't happening. Oh, that was a close call. Oh my goodness. man, just like every time I go as a slide as a kid, I remember this part. And like now it's like, I think it's still a part of my subconscious. Whether that's a positive or a negative correlation. I'm not even using correlation correctly. And hey, there's the Queen Latifah mammoth. We'll talk more about her later. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have much more to say about the slide except that like I still like this slide. I think it's a fun little like gameplay mini game. It's a little bit more intensive than the other ones, and it relates to the movie because the movie starts off with like all the characters, like the Ice Age 2, the Meltdown, the film starts off with a big slide he wants to go on. Like all the characters like sliding around like some like water park and all that. Like it's related to the movie. What's funny is that the movie starts with it, while this game it takes a while to get to the slide. Like a good 14 minutes, it's like the final section of the winter part, while in the film, that's literally how it starts. So yeah, here we're back to collecting nuts. We don't have to sniff for anything, but we do have to still dig out some nuts here and there, and also play some mini games to collect certain nuts. So now let me talk about something completely unrelated. But yeah, like, I mean, that bowling minigame is insane. Like, just like the way it works compared to like Wii Sports is completely different. Here we have these monkeys. The branches they throw can be harmful. When you're bouncing up here, try to bounce away from the goal, because sometimes I would try to enter this hole and like one of the branches he throws would actually hit me. So sometimes you'd like to kind of step to the left, wait for him to throw like a branch, because then he'll throw a branch on the left side while you're trying to enter the hole. And here we find this nut, but now we need to play a little like shooting minigame in order to get the third nut. And okay, so the Wii version I think is the best version of the game. And like, sometimes there's things that make it worse than the other versions. Combat is one. Like, this game barely has any combat, but when it does, it's very painful on the Wii version because your only source of attacking is shaking the Wii remote, so you're just constantly. But I'll talk more about that later. But one improvement is that sometimes you have to like do these little aiming mini games. Sometimes to shoot things, sometimes to select things, and I really like them on the Wii. Like the Wii's intuitive, like pointer controls are just really nice, especially for like these railgun sections. Like I definitely want to play some railgun games. No damage some of them, like House of the Dead 2, House of the Dead 3. Like that is a game I want to no damage in like the near future, even though I don't know how I do it because they do seem like very hard games, but they are games I want to do because okay, so here's the thing. As a child, I saw people play, I saw adults, like family members, friends, play two mature games, which I wanted as a child. They were like the two only mature games that I wanted, and it was God of War 2. I saw like one of my cousins play it late at night. I wasn't supposed to see him play it, but I did see him play it, and I thought it looked cool. And the other one is House of the Dead 2, House of the Dead 3. That was just a game which like one of my friends had, and like those are the two mature games that I super duper wanted, and I never did get them. I do own them now. I actually think I mentioned this before, but yeah, like I do own them now. I can't say I've beaten House of the Dead 2 and 3, but I definitely played it. I did beat God of War 2, so, now I just needed no damage to those two games, and another subliminal cycle will be complete. And yeah, once you collect all those nuts, you just kind of return to this area, like, wasting time there. I fell into the pond, Ron. And like, yeah, there's enemies here. You definitely want to avoid them. And yeah, once you enter this tree, like sometimes the game's kind of inconsistent with this. Like there's like little cracks in trees and like in mountains, which have like that nice golden like glow from them. And you'd think that means that you're going to enter a new area, but sometimes it just means it's going to transport you to like another section of the level. And it's like, it's not really consistent like that. I thought maybe the golden glow would be only for, new areas, but it's not. It's a little inconsistent design decision. Because, like, this is going to be a new area, but before it wasn't? Like, what's up with that? That's just weird, Okay, so now I think I am going to talk about my experience rewatching the first two Ice Age films. Now, the reason I didn't rewatch the third film is because, well, this is Ice Age 2, The Meltdown, the video game. It's not the third video game. This game assumes you have seen the first two films. I say assumes. You don't really need to. Like, it's not really that important. You can have fun as, like, the little squirrel, hopping around, collecting acorns, whether or not you saw the movie. And here we have a little, hostage minigame? No, that's not what it's called. Escort minigame. You have to, like, stun these vultures, and then you throw them in there. And I will say I am skipping all the cutscenes, and I did not rewatch the cutscenes to know what they are, because frankly, I don't care. I'm here to play the game, and that's that. I'm here to see the squirrel do funny things. And that's the thing about this squirrel, this Scrat here. Let me talk about him. But before I talk about him, let me talk about something you can do in this game, which I've done quite a couple times throughout this video, but I haven't mentioned yet, and it's that. You can throw rocks. And on the Wii version, the way you do that is by pressing B. See, I'm a little confused on how to do certain things in the Wii version because like so much of it is mapped to motion controls. Because like you have a basic attack, you know, but you also have special attacks. You see like that little green and blue meter on the left of Scrat? That's not his health bar. His health bar is actually the little 50 like petals thing. It's kind of weird because, you know, like the big green and blue thing seems like a big health bar, but it's not. That is not his health bar. His actual health is 50, and yes, you can lose it. There are many ways to get damaged in this game, and I'm going to do none of them. I will play this entire game without getting damaged once, and there's like, you know, 2 or 3 times where getting damaged is, not getting damaged is a little hard, I'll just say that much. But one of the things which doesn't damage you is fall damage. I don't think this game really has any fall damage of any sort. I don't know, like, I mean, there's like bottomless pits, like those can kill you and they don't show up until like very late in the game, but like falling from a really high height, I mean, I haven't really tested it like to its fullest extent, but I don't think you get damage from that, and I'm very thankful for that, because like sometimes you'll fall from a very high height and like this little Scrat here will go, like, you know, he'll start making funny noises that he fell from a really high height, but he doesn't, you know, actually take damage from it, and that's very, very, very nice. But yeah, something I wanted to say about combat. Let me get back to combat. So, see, you can do special moves, and the way you do special moves in the Wii version is by shaking the Wii remote. But the way you do normal attacks is by also shaking the Wii remote. So I don't really know how to distinguish between the two. You're just kind of forced to use up all your special attacks, and then you can do your normal attacks. And to be fair, special attacks are better than normal attacks, but I don't know, sometimes you want to save that meter for the really important stuff, and it seems on like Nintendo Wii, you don't really have that option. So it's just kind of like, man, come on. And here we have another slide. You know, one thing I like about the slides in this game is that they keep showing up. I mean, they never really get harder than the Sid slide, I'll just say that much. But yeah, the bats, I don't really have a way to dodge them. I just kind of double jump a whole bunch and hope that works. And here we're going to play a little mini game. But yeah, let me get back to the film. So in rewatching the first 2 films, I found myself having the most joy with them whenever I was watching this Scrat thing do things. And it's just like, I feel like that's a cringy opinion to say, because it's like saying, when I was watching Despicable Me, when the Minions were doing things, that was the best part of the film. And you know what? I haven't seen Despicable Me 1 in a while, but you know what film I have seen? The most recent Minion films. And I'll tell you right now that the most recent Minions film and Ice Age 2, I have very similar opinions on both of those films. Now, which one is better? I don't know. I'm going to be honest with you, but I think I'm leaning slightly towards the Minions movie. Ice Age 2 did not leave a good aftertaste. It did not leave a good taste, frankly. It was kind of a disappointment returning to it. Ice Age 1 is okay. But in both films, I don't know, I got the most joy out of them from all the little, like, silent... I mean, they're not silent, because, you know, Scrat's making all his funny little noises, like... Like, I don't know how to do the Scrat scream. It's like... Like, how do you do the Scrat scream? I mean, I'm just remembering, like... Like, I don't know if I'm really being accurate to like the Scrat lore and like his vocal deliveries. And what we're supposed to do at this section of the game is you're supposed to make this rhino get knocked into the tree like 3 times to get the apples, and the faster way to do it would be like to make him like knock down extra apples while you're delivering them to him. But I made the mistake of like moving away from the rhino, moving away from the tree, so the rhino didn't hit anything when he rushed me, and that was a mistake on my part. And oh, look at that, this is a funny part of the film. In Ice Age 2, so okay, so this guy, this long palm tree dude, look at this. Okay. I didn't do it well enough. Let me do it again. No, let me time it though. I hope you found that very amusing. I don't. You have to do this like 5 times. Thankfully, you don't get damaged if you fuck this up. And this is a video for kids, and I'm saying swear words. No, I can't do that. Oh. For the record, I never did that, and if I did, I didn't do it. It did not happen. No. But yeah, in the film, there's a joke where, in the second film, Ice Age 2, there's a joke where, like, Manny, see, that's not his name. His name's actually, like, Manford, but it's Manny for short. and I messed that one up. Thankfully, when you mess up, you don't take damage, because if you did take damage, I would be a lot more infuriated with this game. But yeah, his name's Manford, Manny for short, like a dialectic, like Manny's not shorter than Manford. You know, not like a super short name, but it is like a shorter, easier way to say Manford, you know, like, but there's a word for it, and I don't know what it is. But yeah, he hears like this trumpet horn like a mammoth, and he thinks he's the last one of his race, but he's not. And he hears it, he's like, oh my goodness, is that another mammoth? I want to see them. But it was just this guy farting really loudly, and that sounded like a mammoth. It was a very, very humorous moment in that movie. And but yeah, let me return to Ice Age 1. It's okay. Like, I don't think this comparison is that apt, but it is kind of apt. But Ice Age 1 is kind of like a less funny Shrek. Like, I don't know, if you want to see Ice Age 1, you might as well just watch Shrek. I mean, like, the thing is, they're not really that similar, but they are both kind of like road trip movies. You have an annoying little sidekick, and like, Donkey is just a much better sidekick than Sid the Sloth. You know, like, I have some appreciation for Sid the Sloth, but, like, I'm just saying he doesn't compare with Donkey. He just doesn't. Like, wait a minute. Is Eddie Murphy the donkey in Shrek? Is Eddie Murphy the donkey in Shrek? Let me double check that. Here, I'm going to use another secret ability. It's called holding the N button, no, the Z button, and then being able to aim your shot. So you can, like, aim and shoot at that bug. Because, like, I mean, you could just get on there and hope the bug doesn't hit you. Or, like, you know, it's a little bit of RNG. And here we're just going to fall off that cliff because it leads us to this tree. And it just leads us to, like, the next part of the level. You don't need to climb that thing over there. And also jump over that bush. You know, sometimes the bushes have, like, these little bugs that can damage you. And you want to avoid that. So just jump over that bush. And did you just see that little sunflower there? Well, whenever you see a sunflower, that thing heals you. That's, like, you know, your health. But since I never take damage, I never need to go to those sunflowers. And also, there's this thing where I'm, like, collecting these nuts. And, like, in the next part of the level, I'll have less nuts than I did before. And I don't know what it is, because you never pay, like, a nut toll, you know? So it's just like... And here's the one thing that's kind of weird about the Wii pointer controls. Do you see how when I choose different holes, Diego does not change his stance whatsoever? Like, when you were playing that game with, like, the bats, you know, when you chose a different bat, Manny here would actually change it, like, the stance of his trunk. But here, he doesn't change anything. And you don't really feel any feedback from choosing different holes. And you need to be able to, like, tell which hole you're going to hit, because if you hit the wrong one, you take damage. So here's how I do it. You don't point at the little animals, point at the holes they're in. You know, point at, like, the little black holes they come out of, and you'll hit that hole. And also just, you know, be careful not to hit the wrong thing. I mean, like, you know, once you get the hang of it, it's very nice and intuitive. You just kind of flick the wrist a bit, and you're good to go. And this section of the game, this section that's about to come up right now, I mean... This is the section which I failed before, and it is an extremely hard section not to know damage. I mean, extremely hard, I don't know, I mean, I did it. But it just feels kind of like RNG, but it's also, like, frustrating, because you think, oh, I'm going to get the nut there and then jump back, but here's the thing. All your momentum is jumping forward. You know, if you jump forward, look at that great distance you can get. But if you jump back, you get, like nothing for distance. Even if you're jumping, like, side to side, look at that. Look how, like, my distance was just killed. Like, I mean, sometimes you'll jump to, like, a platform that's, like, kind of to the left, and you're like, okay, I'll just jump back, but you just can't without taking damage. So, like, the way you do this path is you stick to just jumping forward or jumping left to right, and even if you're jumping left to right, look at, like, how much less distance I'm getting. Here, this is, like, the one time I jumped back. Did you see, like, how slow I was in jumping back? Just, like, with the distance, like, these platforms are distanced away from each other, it's just, like, crazy. And then, like, you have to watch out for this fish that's, like, constantly jumping up and down, breaking your platform, so you can't exactly stand still for too long waiting for, like, new forward platforms. And depending on what you do, like, sometimes you just get stuck in a position where, like, no good forward platforms will come up. Like, if I went to, like, that platform there on the left, I would just be screwed. Like, I'll get my acorn, but then I'll have to jump back and, like, take damage from, like, falling here. And, like, that guy's gonna destroy the platform right before me, like, right behind me. Like, what? That is insane. Also, this fish is one of the main villains in Ice Age 2. It's like, I don't know, there's, like, 2 big fishes, and this is one of them. And then we deal with a second fish later on. He's actually, like, a Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time ripoff level, which is, like, pretty funny. And also, like, cool, because, you know, that level in Ocarina of Time is cool, so if you rip it off, it's still going to be cool. I mean, it looks practically the same. It's got the same interior, like, you know, same kind of colors, little acid trips. I swear it even has the same type of enemies It's just like someone was really big fan of the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. I mean, to be fair, who isn't? But like, I don't know why the Ice Age 2 developers were really interested in, like, you know, Ocarina of Time, the fish dungeon level you played as a kid. I don't know why they were so into that. But well, yeah, this game is developed by the company called Sierra. And I don't know, wasn't Sierra like that one company which made all those like shitty NES games, which like the angry video game nerd would like rip apart and like tear and like poop on? Because I don't know, I mean, they're like that company, but like this is a game which I like from them though. So, you know, it's like, I mean, I'm sure they've made tons of like crappy stuff, but like this, I like it. You know, like jumping feels good in this. You know, it feels responsive. You know, the game has a nice little visual look to it. You know, like I'm a big fan of this game. I mean, not that big of a fan. I mean, to me, the game's a little too simple, a little too babyish, but it's also like, I'm complaining about a game being too babyish, and it is kind of a game for babies, so you know, I mean, like, you watch a kid's film, there, you know, it's for kids. I mean, yeah, I mean, a kid's film can be bad, but it can also be good. But yeah, this is really challenging stuff to not get damaged in. Because, like, I mean, even in the speed run, they got damaged, because, you know, getting damaged is much quicker than not getting damaged. Because, like, if you take the path of, like, getting damaged, like, you know, every now and then, like, if you fall into this icy water, it kind of works like Mario. You know, when he, like, hops into the lava, he goes, ah! And, like, he kind of, like, does a big jump, you know, like, it boosts, like, his, verticality, his like momentum. I don't know what to call it, but like, you know, he does a big jump and it just sends him flying up, and you can use that to reach like higher platforms in Mario. You get damaged, but and this part right here is so tricky because you get to this point, it's like, how am I gonna get forward? And you have to like really do a good jump to like move forward. You have to use all that forward momentum to reach that really far away platform, and it's like sometimes the platforms aren't even set up like that. You know, like this part right here can be kind of RNG. But there is a way forward. There is a way to do this without damage. I mean, I got damaged at the very last part because I slipped on this little cube. And look at that. I almost fell into the water, but I didn't. I got like the golden like acorn, and we are good to go to get to the Legend of Zelda ripoff level. And we're about to enter. Like I'm telling you, this looks exactly like the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Like this big green stuff going on here. You got like the red here. I mean, the slide. There was no slide in the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. But yeah. We are inside the second fish from the film. See, that's the thing, though. In the film, they never went inside that fish because the fish never ate anyone. I mean, the fish technically might have eaten that one turtle. I don't even know if that dude was a turtle. He's like some prehistoric creature that kind of looks like a turtle. But yeah, they never go inside his stomach. You never get a visual of it. So instead of like... So they just kind of ripped off the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time for this. But hey, look at this like flesh wall. It's pretty out there. Pretty disturbing. I wonder if you were a kid, you would be disturbed by this. I'll be honest, like I don't even remember this part as a kid. I kind of do, I think, but I'm not even sure. There's like some parts I really remember about this game, but this is not a part I like really remember. And here we're gonna have this boss fight here, and it's just like, dude, oh, isn't that a little disturbing for some children? Like, it'd be funny if this was actually like a reference to like the third film. There's no way though. This game came out before the third film, and there we have to like. It's a boss fight, but it doesn't really matter. You just kind of aim and shoot, you know, kind of like you did before with like the monkeys, but now there's eyeballs. And you kind of got like the teeth behind it. You got all these like veiny eyeballs, and it's just like, you know, slightly disturbing, but you know, the music's kind of calm. Is it? The music's mysterious. It's like a ghost level in a Mario game, but like, it's not really that scary. I don't know how scared like a 2-year-old child would be if he was forced to face this. I don't think. I think like with modern films that they might have been desensitized to this sort of stuff, but like, yeah, you know, whatever. But it's easy, and that's what I like. And then boom, we're done with this level, and we can move on to the next area. And I will say, I did say this was a segmented run, and the way I would do this mostly is I would kind of wait until I transition to like the next area, then I would save the game and I just reload my save from there. And sometimes I'll do 2 areas at once, sometimes, you know, so, and there I skip the cutscene from the movie. I mean, I call it a cutscene, but it's, you know, it's just straight up a scene from the movie. I skip it because I don't want this video to get copyright claimed in any way whatsoever. And here, like, this section, and oh, yeah, did you see, like, the weird clipping thing? Like, you know, the weird cut which happened, like, in the middle of one of my jumps? That's because when my Elgato was recording it, for some reason, it split, like, my recording into 2 segments, which is, like, 2 separate videos. And the second video missed, like, a single half second of my footage. So I didn't just cut a new attempt. Believe me, I did not do that. That was the same attempt, but for some reason, like, a half to, like, a fourth of a second of footage is just not here. So, you know, just a weird occurrence, that one. Weird occurrence. So here we have a new objective, and the objective is to get some rocks and put them into the holes to make this thing go higher. And I swear, like, every time you try to, like, jump on this water thing at first, it doesn't let you get up there quickly. And also, you have to watch out, because look at these possums. They're here. And I mentioned before that I didn't watch all the cutscenes to this game, and the reason I bring that up is because there's like these vulture characters in the second film, and you know they're like a humorous thing. 'Cause they're like, hey, we're gonna eat you when you die. And then when like you finally meet the whole big vulture group, instead of being all edgy, they do a little like big. They sing a song in a certain style. Is it operatic or is it big band? I don't know. I'm kind of limited with my music terms, but they sing a song in a very funny, operatic way instead of being like edgy vultures. And you know what? Like, I mean, is it kind of a low-hanging fruit joke? I don't know, but you know, I found some humor in it. You know, they sang a funny little song, and I found some humor in that. And here, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. Oh yeah, I'm just supposed to like move on. Like I pretty much completed the whole pebble thing. We have another slide, except it's very short and not very harmful. And those frogs, I mean, throughout all my attempts, I've never been hit by those frogs. But those frogs, they terrify me kind of, slightly, not that much. But, you know, watch out for those frogs. You know, if you touch those frogs, I do believe you will get damaged. And I don't think there even is a single frog in Ice Age 2. But, you know, make with what you do. You got to come up with certain stuff on the spot. Me to like pad out a whole video game. And here we have kind of this weird objective. We have to collect eggs, and once you're like carrying an egg, you can't really jump, so you have to kind of have to follow this predetermined path to like, you know, not get screwed over. And also don't go up the hill to put the egg in there. You have to like put the egg in a certain like jumpy spot, like in this one, in order for it to get to that thing. Because if you bring the egg to the nest, well, the bird is just going to catch you and go, hey, why did you do that? And, like, you know, you're going to have to start all over again. Thankfully, you don't take damage, but you will have to start all over again with getting that egg and so, and yada, yada. And, like, I'm very scared about that frog because I have very little to, like, combat against him, you know? Like, I'm, like, walking, jogging around him. Look at that. Like, that dung beetle, like, threw at me was so close to hitting me, you know? It's just like, because this game can get very, very, very tense. Oh my goodness. Like, see, once you get to this part, this is like the only part where you actually do go up the hill. Because like the bird for some reason is not watching you at this point, so you do go up the hill, but you gotta watch out for these dung beetles. If they even are dung beetles, but they are throwing dung at you. And I will say the dung beetles are a part of Ice Age 2. They're a little like, you know, comedy gag throughout the movie. You know, you got the dung beetles. So they are in the movie. That is a reference to the movie. I kind of want to go into more detail about those movies, but I'm kind of losing track of my points. But I will say, when I was rewatching that first film, the CGI either is extremely, extremely dated, like it doesn't even look fully rendered, or it looks, you know, okay-ish, but it is dated. It was released like in 2001, so you know, what do you expect? But those humans, man, they're an ugly thing, those humans. And here we're going to play a memory game. And I was kind of worried about this because, like, I was watching the speedrunner do it, and I couldn't keep up with those patterns. And these patterns are random. But one way which I kept track of the patterns, kind of my way of thinking about it and memorizing it, is that these hippos do follow a certain pattern of their own, and my pattern is unique from the speedrun pattern. I mean, not the speedrun pattern, but the pattern which, like, the speedrunner which I saw, like, had their pattern. Their pattern was, like, a whole different thing, but for me, these hippos became really fixated with 3 and 4. Like, I kind of counted it like this, so they're doing a pattern here. I'm going to count it now. So, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3. See? They did 4, 3... 3 times, and that's how I remember it, because they kind of do that pattern, you know. They did like that, those 2 numbers 3 times, and if they deviate, I'll keep track of that. But if they don't deviate, which these things really did not deviate all that much from 4, 3, you know, it's like 4, 3, 4, 3. That's 2, 4, 3 times, and then 1. So that's like 4, 3 times, and then 1, and that's the pattern. And, you know, like, I mean, it gets harder as it goes along. I mean, we're about to reach, like, you know, the hardest part of it, which isn't even that hard. And it's like, this isn't even, like, the hardest memory game ever. But, you know, I mean, if you're caught off guard by it, you know, it's like, I was kind of testing my, you know, memorization skills. I'm like, am I actually good at remembering things? You know, like, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 1, and 4. So that's 4-3, 3 times, 1 and 4. So if you can remember that, you can beat this. But if you play this game, that pattern won't be the same. You'll get a different pattern, but if you follow it in like that structure, you should be fine, because the hippos do tend to kind of do that structure. They'll like do a repetition of either 2 or 3 numbers, and then they'll throw an outlier there in like one of the final rounds. And thankfully, I did this first try, so you know, very, very nice. Very, very nice. First try. But yeah, let me get back to those films. There's a certain scene where like Sid the Sloth like makes 2 rhinos, if I think they're rhinos, like very, very upset. And he does this by like, you know, by like stealing their dandelion and then trying to convince them to eat pine cones. And I tell you, I remember that joke of pine cones, of him like really chewing that pine cone like damn, it's like I was trying to eat a pine cone in real life. Not good at all. But yeah, it's like you know, like I remember that joke as a child, because I did see the first 3 movies as a child. Like one particular thing about seeing the 3rd movie is, I believe Ice Age 3 may be the first movie I saw like on release day. You know, if a movie got released on Friday, like I didn't intend to see it immediately on Friday. I would see it like Saturday or Sunday as a child, because you know, like my parents didn't want to drive me up there. But in that particular day, I was skipping school for some reason. I was like at a mall which had a movie theater, and one of the movies they were showing was Ice Age 3. So I got to see Ice Age 3 on release day, and that may have been the first film I ever saw on release day. So like, yeah, that's crazy. You know, that's a memory, and that's a memory which I have in my head. And here, I need to take care of that bug, but I'm really scared of these dodo birds, because those dodo birds can damage me. And I'm thinking maybe if I move in a certain way, the dodo birds will stop chasing me. But you know what? At this point, I got tired of it, and I decided to just fight the dodo birds with my super skills. And by boom, bam, bam, I can finally aim at this bug and take him out, because I am not going to take my chances climbing up that wall, because this wall here... You see, there's certain walls in this game. Either you can go up that wall, or there's other walls where you have to shake the Wiimote. And when you're shaking the Wiimote, you can't move left or right to climb up that wall. So once you're on that wall, you're screwed if like the bug is right above you. So instead of dealing with that, I decided to just kill the bug. And that worked out very nicely for me. And then once you do that, you kind of have to wait for that dude to go Geronimo. You know, you do have to climb that wall. That is a necessary part of the game to move forward to this section here. And boom, we're in the next section. And if we're in the section I believe we are on, we may be in one of the worst sections of the game. Definitely one of the most annoying, one of the most irritating. Let's see what it is. Yes, this section right here. Hate it. Yeah, no, because like this section right here is like the only section of the game that requires you to like engage with combat in like a really intensive manner. I mean, like I say intensive, but it is still like kind of a baby game, but like it's intensive for like a little baby game. And for like a big part of this game, I didn't know what these fruits did. I mean, I collected them in like, you know, my test playthrough, but like there was no real reason. I didn't think there was any reason to them, but what they do is actually fill up your special meter, so you can like do attacks. And just like your special meter should have been your health bar. I don't know, your health bar being like this, like, you know, flower thing, which has like a number on it. I'm not that big of a fan on that. And yeah, so what you have to do is like beat up these spiders. And the thing is, you can actually get damaged pretty easily by these spiders if you're not careful, because like their web, if they web you, that deals damage and it traps you, but it deals damage. That's the most important part. So the way you deal with these spiders, that there's multiple ways. Like these special attacks, they pretty much make you completely invulnerable, and you can take out the spiders like that. But another way is by doing this slam down attack, and this is where the flaws of like the Nintendo Wii version like kind of rear their ugly head, because all your attacks are motion controls. So pretty much like every time you want to do that stomp attack, you have to jump twice and just swing the Wii remote down. And there's like 19 spiders here, and it takes like 2 swing downs to like knock them down. So that's like 30 times you like swing the Wii remote down, and that's like if you're perfect. You know, it's like you're perfectly taking out these spiders. If you like miss one, you know, it's like add on to 30, you know, like 30, 40 times. I have to freaking swing the Wii remote and count all the times I failed. That's like hundreds of times I have to swing down the Wii remote. So yeah, I mean, once I use up my special meter, I can refill it by going to that thing and, you know, doing that. But that's not the only way to take out these monsters. If you get in front of this spider and you do like a basic combo, that also takes them down. But for this big spider, what you have to do is pretty much take out all the baby spiders, wait for it to do that attack where it exposes its underbelly, and then shoot it with a pebble. And sometimes it won't always do that. Sometimes like that big spider will like bum rush you and try to do an attack. So stay really, really far away from this spider, because if you stay too close, it'll just like try to bum rush you. So, you know, just like be careful with that. And also just be careful of this spider, like, regardless, kind of like stay away from it, like run away from it, and until it reveals its underbelly, and that's like this boss fight. Like, this boss fight, it has like the beginning part, we have to take out that whole crowd, and then it has like, the actual fight. There's a big spider, he summons like 3 to 4 rounds of like his like spider babies, and it's just like, if this thing is even a he or a she, I don't know. When it comes to spiders, the females are actually technically much bigger than the males. I don't know if that's true for every single spider, but it is true for like a majority of spider species, including the Black Widow. In fact, if I'm thinking about the Black Widow, I think only females have like the particular Black Widow symbol on them. I don't think the males have that. In fact, I'm not even sure if the males are black. I think the males are actually like a brown color. I know there was a certain species where only the females had like the iconic look to them, and like the males were like this weird translucent brown color. That's definitely a spider species. Tell me about it, but I'm not gonna say it in this video. So anyways, let's get back to talking or ripping apart Ice Age. I don't know, but there's a joke in the first one, taekwondodos. So there's like a group of dodos they encounter in the first film, and like they're trying to survive, and then to protect like the watermelon which they stole from like the main characters, they have their taekwondodos. It's like taekwondo, but they're dodos, taekwondodos. So they do like they do kung fu, taekwondo, karate, whatever. I don't know. There's like this thing in like early films where they're like really obsessed with like making fun of martial arts or whatever. Like, ooh, I know karate. I mean, it still happens these days, and like, I mean, frankly, I think the reason it still happens these days is because like martial arts are gonna be timelessly cool and like, in a way necessary. So in a sense, making fun of it is always gonna be timeless if you do it right. But it's just like a lot of animated films about, hell, even the most recent Minion films, they have them learning freaking kung fu, and it's like, oh wow, that's pretty funny. They unlock the beast in themselves, they got the dog in them, and it's like, Anyways, this section here where you're like patrolling, you're like controlling a really, really tall bird. This section is also like geared in my subconscious for some reason. I don't know. Either I was playing this section while I was with my cousin or something, but this brings me pleasant vibes. You're just controlling this really bright red, green, blue, and it's a certain shade of red that I like, kind of like I don't know what to call it, but this section right here, it's been seared into my memory. This is the section. This is the Ice Age. And here I'm just kind of like running around trying to find the last nut. Oh, never mind. No, I'm not. I found the rock, which I need for the last nut. I mean, I didn't know exactly where all the nuts were. And, oh, this part, I'm going to mess it up. You're not supposed to make this waterfall bigger, because all this does is get you more nuts, which you don't need. It doesn't get you the special nut. The special nut is actually on the other side of, well, on the other path, per se. And I think the game knows this, because like if you mess up here, they give you an extra pebble to like go put it over there. So you can get like, the extra nuts. And that's what I'm saying. Like in a previous part of this video, I had 600 nuts. But once I reach this part, I have 475. What does that mean? There's not like a collective like nut meter. There's only like a nut meter for like the area to area or like level to level. I don't know what to call it. But like, at some point, like your nuts go gone. So it's like, what's up with that? And boom, we've completed this area. This is called like the Mudlands. Like each area is like split up into like 5 sections or like 4 to 5 sections. And, in the final section, you kind of have like a big climactic part. I mean, we kind of already did it here with the spiders. It's kind of like, I'm telling you, like the spiders is the most dedicated this combat system ever gets. You never need to engage with the combat like that ever again. Like, not even in the slightest. I'm telling you. And to be fair, the game is much better without that combat. But I'm just telling you, it's just weird because it shows up and then you never have to do it again. Like, that's like the only actual boss fight in the game, unless you count the Ice River as a boss fight, which is a much better like boss fight than the one we just fought. I mean, like the Ice River is kind of the way I'd prefer the boss fights to be designed in this game, because like the platforming is this game's strength. And like all the other mini games are really easy, but I'm saying like that Ice River is like the best boss fight in the game. It's like it's about platforming. It's about like jumping around, and that's like the best part about this game. Jumping around. It's very nice. It's very pleasant. I like it, and I definitely like this game better than the TMNT game because I don't know. It's a lot shorter. That's for sure. That's for certain. And it's just a lot more breezy, and I like jumping. I mean, to be fair, I think the jumping around mechanics of that TMNT game are better, but it's just like this one just brings me a lot more pleasant vibes. It's just a lot more of a chill game, so I'm just feeling it. So you just have to collect that one nut, then you go to the next part of the game. And I will tell you, when I was rewatching Ice Age 2, I was actually kind of shocked at how little the Sloth Village actually mattered, because I thought it was gonna be like a big climactic thing, you know, like in Madagascar 2, where like it's a huge climactic part where like the giraffe like almost like throws himself into a volcano. Well, that doesn't really matter in this game, in like the movie. In Ice Age 2, it's like a short gag, you know, it's like a short little comedy gag, you know, like Sid, he almost gets thrown into the volcano, but he immediately gets out of it. There's no peril, there's no drama, and it's just like, you know, you spend quite a bit of time in the Sloth Village, you know, in the game. So I'm just thinking, like, I thought it'd be a bigger part of the movie because it was like straight up like almost a climax in this game. So it's just like, you know, what's going on here? Like, the game is giving me like, you know, better memories in the movie than like the movie actually is. You know, I thought in the movie it would be a cooler section, but it comes and goes. I mean, like, the joke was kind of funny, you know, like, haha, he's controlling the sloths. Yeah. Oh yeah, but I did mention I saw that newest Minions movie, and I will say I did see it in a suit. I make a reference to this in my Twin Peaks Return and Undertale analysis video, but I also have to mention that I did not have any popcorn with me because, like, a lot of people who wore suits to see that movie, they trashed their theaters, they threw popcorn all over the place, they threw slushies, you know, just a horrible mess. Disgusting, because they're like 12. They're all 12 or 16. But me, I'm an adult, so I got myself an alcoholic beverage, and that was the only thing I got because the popcorn line was full, and I was going to get late to the movie. So I just had an alcoholic beverage to drink while watching the Minions movie, and that's all I had. I drank all of it. I did not spill now an inch or centimeter. Is that even the correct term to say how much you spilled of an alcoholic beverage? There's like a diameter. I don't know what's the correct term for that, but I didn't spill any of it. I drank it all. I threw it away in a garbage can. I didn't litter. And that was my experience with Minions, and it was a rather whatever movie. Like, it was better than the first one. You know, that's something. Some of the jokes were funny. It could be humorous. And the theater experience was definitely the most alive a theater has been my entire year. Like, the only other theater that has been as excited as the Minions theater when I saw it this year was the theater I went to see Showgirls, the 1990s movie directed by the guy who did RoboCop. I have a theater which was showing it, but that theater also has like a drag show before the movie is shown. So like a dude just like did a backflip all like stripped booty naked, and the dude did like 5 backflips, and he did like 2 in a row while in the air. It was insane. I'm telling you, like, my man was like muscular. He knew the objective. He knew the assignment. And he did it. And what I'm glad about it is that it only took like a minute. He did it, he left, and then the movie started, and everyone was screaming and hollering at the many, many things which happened in that movie. Showgirls may be one of the horniest movies I have ever seen, and it is like insanely funny at points. Like, the dude from Twin Peaks is there, and he is in this incredible scene in a pool, and I could not take it seriously. He does like a T-Rex motion at one point, and I was losing my shit. Not my literal shit, my emotional shit. I was dying. That was a great theater experience. That and Minions may have been the best theater experiences of the year for me. But how does this relate to Ice Age? It doesn't. So yeah, here there's this one thing you could do where you could like jump on the skeleton of that little like a T-Rex bones or whatever, and if you time it right, if you like position yourself correctly, you can actually jump to that high cliff. But if you're not good enough to do that, you know, like me, because I just messed it up, and I spent like a minute messing it up, you can just go up here, and yeah, it's slower, but it's more efficient. It's slower, but it's more consistent. But you could speed run it and jump on that like dinosaur thing and kind of get it that way. So there's like a couple mini games and a couple like platforming challenges you have to do to like get the special nuts. You know, one of them is like the whole tiki thing. You have to solve the tiki puzzle. If they are tikis, I don't know. And the second one is climbing up that platform thing. And the third one, you know, I forgot. No, the second one was like herding all those little like, you know, baby birds into like their nest. I think they're also vultures. That's what I'm saying. Like, the vultures don't have any of their energy from the movie. And then like whatever. So those are 3 things. And the final thing is you have to get a bunch of like fruits for this like Italian sloth to cook. And the way I'm gonna do it is there's like 4 or 5 of them, so I'm just gonna like throw them in his general direction, because like every time you like get close to him with one of these fruits, a cutscene plays. So instead of letting that cutscene play while I'm still collecting the other 2, I'm just gonna collect all of them, throw them into one big area, and then once they're all in that one big area, I'm just gonna get them up, do the cutscene, just kind of repeat that over and over again. And I'm not 100% sure where the rest of like those nuts are, so I'm just kind of like, they're not even nuts. They're like these fruit things. I don't know what the fruit is called, but like a pepper. It might be a pepper, it might be a fruit, I don't know, but I'm collecting them, and that's what's going on here. And like, this part's nice, you know, you have like a bunch of stuff to do, like the area is like pleasant, you know, I like it a lot. And here you can just kind of freaking just throw it there, and you know, you deal with it later. And then you just kind of keep digging them, because like a bunch of them are rotten, but the ones which are not rotten, you bring them to the chef, and you know, like the chef makes the food, and once he's done making the food, he gives you the acorn. And that's that. I mean, like, that's like the area. Like, I thought this area would actually be more challenging, but no, it wasn't. I guess I'm not like, you know, 7 years old anymore. Like, this is pretty easy. Anyways, yeah, let me get back to talking about Ice Age once again. I don't know, I feel like I've said that 5 times. So Ice Age and Ice Age 2, to a lesser extent, they suffer from this thing where, like, the main characters, like the male characters in general, have, like, you know, these anthropomorphic designs, which are, like, you know, to be fair, I don't think any of the characters in like the first or second movies have pleasing designs. I was gonna say pleasing designs, but they're all kind of ugly. But no. But like, they have designs that like make sense and like translate somewhat well, even though the first film CGI looks highly dated, and even when it's not dated, they're not exactly the most pretty looking things ever, and they don't have to be. But there's something kind of off kilter about something like Sid the Sloth. I mean, Manny the Mammoth, I like his design. He looks cool. He looks like a mammoth. You know, mammoths are just some of the coolest animals around. They're just like these big horses. Not, can they be compared to horses? They're like horses mixed with bears, mixed with they're fucking elephants. That was the clearest connection I could have made, and I fucked it up. God, get real. Yeah, no, they're just the big fuzzy elephants. They have nothing to do with horses or bears. I don't know where I was pulling that from. And yeah, when you're speedrunning this game, you could just avoid the spiders, but I was getting sick of that spiders nonsense, so I just killed it. And I killed it so I could kill the bug on the wall, so I didn't have to deal with the bugs nonsense. And here we're kind of like in a very spooky volcano area, and I like this area. It's very cool. It's very nice. There's some cool little platforming challenges to do. There's some like cool little speed challenges to do, because this is the part where you have to light your tail on fire. And there's actually a joke in either the first or second movie where Sid the Sloth creates fire, and then he accidentally sets its tail on fire. And then they reference it in the second movie with the, you know, the village of like the sloths, like the tiny sloths. They're like, "Ooh, you're the Fire King." I don't know how they know he's the Fire King, because he only set fire to something, you know, in private with his crew in the first movie. No one else knew about that. So I don't know how news of him being the Fire King spread around. Maybe he just kept like gloating in like, you know, off screen or whatever. And okay, that's the one thing I don't like about the second film. But before I get to like the second film, so anyways, I was talking about the designs. And pretty much whenever there's like a female sloth, they look disgusting, because the way they make sure that it's a female sloth is that they accentuate like the feminine, like stereotypically feminine design tropes. Is design tropes? Is that the right word? But it looks awful. It doesn't look like a normal design. It looks like they tried to make it girly, and I hate it. It's disgusting. I want it dead. All right, and like, that is also true in the second film to a lesser extent, but the second film also has a good design. Well, I don't know if any of the Ice Age designs are that good. So yeah, anyways, when you're kind of doing the whole, what do you call it? When you're like hanging on to the rope, you can drop off at this point to kind of speed run to the entrance. And you see there, no fall damage. So that's what I was talking about. But yeah, the Queen Latifah mammoth, she looks alright, you know? It's like, there's nothing too drastically like feminine about her design. You know, it's just like a slightly lighter color, like a slightly different haircut. And, you know, she looks different from Manny, but she doesn't look like a disgusting caricature. So, you know, I like that. Yeah, her design is alright when it comes to like making a mammoth with emotions who pretends they are a possum. Like, I don't know what the opinions are with people and Ice Age designs. You know, I mean, I'm very fond of the squirrel. I grew up with the squirrel. I mean, he is kind of like a Minions character. I don't know, when I saw like when I've been rewatching these first two films, I'm not sick of him yet. I'm assuming I'm gonna get sick of his nonsense by like the third, fourth, or fifth film. You see, here's the thing. I've never seen the fourth or fifth film. I only have childhood memories of the first three. I never saw the fourth, I never saw the fifth, and I haven't seen that shitty Disney Plus thing. Alright, because I just don't care. I know they're ass, and I'm just not going to bother with them unless it's like for a specific video or something. And yeah, this part right here, you have to light your tail on fire, and See, so you have to collect 4 acorns, and they're all in like these separate platforming, challenging things. And you know, there's like a central platform where you light your tail on fire, and you just kind of go to that central platform. There's like 4 different paths you can take, and these 4 different paths lead to those acorns. So you know, I mean, I kind of took one path, which kind of does, you know, you jump there, you go there. And now for the second acorn, I'm going to take the path of the vines. You know, I mean, it's kind of confusing at first, but once you explore the area and kind of get used to it, you know, you can kind of like run through this area like the back of your hand, because it's not all that complicated. It's just like 4 separate paths, and you can kind of like route which way you want to go. And yeah, at this point there's gonna be some spiders, and you know, there's gonna be the acorn, and then that's it. That's all this area has to offer. So you just kind of rotate your way back to the start to light your tail on fire once again. Like, you know, you have like that first path I took, which kind of like leads you to just doing some more platforming. And I don't mess around with these vines. I'm telling you, like, I tried to mess around with these vines, and I end up not hanging on to them. You know, don't mess with the vines. Like, I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it. Anyways, let me move on. Oh yeah, so you will notice that sometimes when you're transitioning to like, you know, a new part of the level or a new area, or like you're transitioning from like a cutscene to gameplay, or when the game's loading and like the game's finally done loading, there'll be like a transition with snowflakes. And what I was surprised to find is that the first Ice Age film also has those snowflake transitions. So that is a reference to like the first Ice Age film. Like there'll be parts where like they'll move to like a new area, and there'll be a transition with like snowflakes, you know, coming across the screen. So that is something which happens in this game, and it is something which happened in the first film. Now, I didn't keep track if it happened in the second film. I don't think it did, but I also am not keeping track much of the second film. So let me move on to more points I want to talk about. Oh yeah, the ending of Ice Age 1 also has like this big slide, and I don't know what it is about like certain animated movies for children. They just kind of have like that one section where they're all doing like a big slide. It's like, whoa! Like, I think it was a trope or something. Anyways, this part here, this is like some of the hardest platforming in the game. Like, it's not that hard because it's kind of a baby game. And also watch out for the spider. They can web you. You can take damage if you're not careful there. But you kind of have to, you know, mess around with that pillar. You kind of jump there, you know, like not fall in the lava. And, you know, you could screw this up if you're not careful. So, you know, be careful. And then once you're done with everything, you can just kind of run over to the entrance there, and you're done with this area. And the next area is not going to be as hard. This is definitely like the hardest section of the Sloth Village. Well, I mean, I thought this would be a different section, like, you know, like that volcano section, but no, it is still the Sloth Village. And look at that, we're spending so much time here in the Sloth Village. Like, you spend like 3 minutes, like 2 to 3 minutes in like the actual film. You know, you have like one joke, he gets thrown into a volcano, he escapes the volcano, and that's that, you're done. I mean, to be fair, this section is easier, but you can still get damaged if you're not careful, especially with like these like volcano things that keep showing up. You know, like, you still gotta be careful. And here I'm just gonna kill the spiders to not deal with them, because you're gonna have to walk back here, and you're gonna be walked back here kind of impaired because you're gonna be carrying something heavy. So instead of, you know, dealing with that spider, kind of trying to walk around him, I'm just gonna make sure this spider's dead. I don't want to see him again. It's over. It's done. Get out of here. No more of that. And if you took damage, you can, you know, heal yourself with those 3 things there. Well, that was a lot more than 3 petals. That was a lot of petals, but you can heal yourself with those. And once they hit the ground, they're still there. So they make a nice, pretty noise when you pick them up. That's the other thing. So, you know, keep that in mind. Oh yeah, so when I said that like some of the CGI in the first film just straight up looks unrendered, let's talk about the ending of the film. Look at that. I threw away the pebble, which, like, you know, makes me like move forward in the game. And thankfully, the game knows that sometimes children are dumb, and they'll just straight up throw the pebble, and they'll just spawn a new one. So if you screw up that pebble thing, you don't restart this entire section. You just go and get the new pebble. I mean, if you're doing a speed run, that's kind of disastrous, because, you know, you just wasted a good chunk of time when you could have gotten a, you know, world record or whatever. And honestly, this game is honestly a really nice speedrunning game. Honestly, I'd be kind of down to try speedrunning this game. You know, it's not very hard. You know, if you take damage, it's not like the end of the world. So you just gotta learn certain paths. You know, it's not really challenging in terms of platforming either. So honestly, if you want to get into speedrunning, this game's the one. It's not that long. You know, it's not that intensive. I mean, like, sometimes you do some combat. I don't know if you struggle with combat, then, you know, whatever. But even in the combat, you can take damage. You can take quite a lot of hits. So, you know, like, honestly, for a speedrunning game, try this one out. This is an old classic. Honestly, I'd be down to maybe route this game sometime when I really get into streaming, because I would like to revisit this game again. Childhood classic, and still, you know, just a a niche classic for me. I like this game quite a bit. It is rendered very deep in my subconscious. So let me move on. So yeah, like I'm saying, the ending of the first film, there's a part where like Scrat here, the little squirrel, is stuck in like a cube of ice. And when he's stuck in that cube of ice, his model looks like it's not even fully rendered. It looks like a behind the scenes look before they finish the film. But no, that is the film. That's how he looks. It's like insane. It's like, what? Oh yeah, watch out for the second pillar of fire that shoots out there. Watch out for that. Very dangerous. I'm telling you, it looks disgusting. That like unrendered model in like the first film. And that is a big improvement with the second film. Like the second film, and, you know, for all its flaws, it looks rendered. It honestly, it kind of looks like a pretty film. I don't know. Like honestly, something about its visuals are very, very appealing to me. Like the environments, the way they look, they got like an old school vibe, but not like in a disgusting way. I very much appreciate how the second film looks. I mean, like some of the character models, like some of the designs don't really click with me, but like honestly, in terms of like fidelity, that second film looks polished. It looks polished, and you know, something about it is just very charming to me. I like it. So here you have to enter this hole, and it doesn't lead you to a new area. It just leads you to like landing on the big pillar there, where like you stick a stone and like this, you put a pebble in a hole, and this stone comes up, and this stone lets you jump over here to get another pebble to make that taller. Then you have to enter like the, you know, that thing again to get on the taller pillar, and then you exit the area, I think. Let's see how this goes. But yeah, let me keep talking about the films. So, oh yeah, there's like at the very beginning of Ice Age 2, I kind of got bad vibes because like one of the, like those hippo creatures with like long noses just decided to suddenly make a boomer joke. You know, like those boomer comics where like, you know, you have like the dad, and then you have like the wife, and then you have the son. And like the son is like, "Father, I don't know how to use Wi-Fi with the book." And like then you have the wife who's like, and then you have like the husband who's like, "I hate my fucking bitch wife. I hope she fucking drowns. I hope I fucking kill her tonight." You know, like, you know those comics? Well, anyways, the hippo made like a 5-second joke where it's like, "Yeah, I'm so fucking glad my wife is dead. I hope she drowns." You know, it's just like, it's such a boomer joke. I mean, yeah, it's a film for 2006, but even then, it's such a boomer ass joke. I just got bad vibes from that like immediately. You know, it's like, I'm not laughing, dude. I'm trying to have good vibes here watching Ice Age. I don't need to hear like these boomer ass like, who's a good boomer figure? Like Ben Garrison? Like he makes boomer comics, does he? I don't know. Anyways, here the mechanic of farting returns, except it's not farting. It's just like gas, air streams. Like, are they called gas? I don't know. But yeah, like those air things, they have to shoot hot air, and like I think in real life those will kill you and like melt your skin, or like at least give you an insane burn, which will eventually lead to melting your skin. But you know, this is a cartoon game, so we're just gonna use those to get to like higher fidelity. So yeah, for that first one, you want to fill it up halfway and then shoot it, because you know, and then once you do that, yeah, like the objective here is just kind of to stomp on those things to free Sid the Sloth there. And if you didn't mess it up the first time, you can go on that slide to just kind of retreat your steps all the way back over there. And like there is a speedrunning way to like not do the slide and do something that's slightly faster to get back to the beginning, but that way means damage, and I'm not gonna deal with damage. You feel me? I'm just not gonna deal with it whatsoever. So yeah, let me move on. Oh yeah, there's a part in the second movie. It is a very childish part, but there's a part where Manny, the mammoth, keeps saying the word wild ass. So you know what? I found it humorous. It is a very lowbrow joke, but he said wild ass. The wild ass son went to see his wild ass mother, and the wild ass dad wished his fucking wild ass wife would fucking die in a ditch. You know, like it was a very lowbrow joke, but you know what? I giggled at it. I am real. I giggled at that, alright? That's the truth. That is the honest truth, I can tell you. So let me keep moving on about certain things I remembered. Yeah, let me keep remembering. So another thing. So Sid the Sloth here, since he's centered on screen, I just want to say he is so much more annoying in the second film. Because like in the first film, he is kind of annoying. He just kind of screams. He goes, "Ah!" You know, he kind of does that. You know, I can kind of appreciate screaming, though it is, you know, kind of annoying. I can see how his screaming can get grating. You know, he just kind of keeps talking in the first movie. But in the second movie, he's just kind of needlessly mean. I don't know, he just kind of grates me because he keeps talking and like just being an asshole. And it's like, bro, can you like cut yourself or something. Like, freaking get your neck and, like, twist it in a loop. Like, I don't want to hear you talk anymore. In the first movie, I don't know, he's kind of charming, and he's definitely no Donkey. And yes, Donkey is voiced by Eddie Murphy. I was right about that. And Sid the Sloth is voiced by John Leguizamo. He's goated. In fact, I actually have met John Leguizamo in real life. I was an extra in his directorial debut. Well, not his directorial debut, but like in one of his movies which he directed, I am in extra. So if you have seen one of John Leguizamo's films, a certain one, it has to do with a certain game, I was there. And if you've seen that film, you have seen me. Now, who am I in that film? I don't know, but I am credited in the credits. In the credits, they do credit the extras, and I am credited with my name. So yeah, we're in the final area of this game of Ice Age 2, and I definitely remember this part. I mean, like, I'm glad it's not hard, but I definitely remember this part. It kind of got, like, good finale vibes. I don't know what it is with old games. Sometimes you get, like, a nostalgic tear to them. Like, this is the ending, you know? Something, like, kind of starts irking at your heart. You know, this is the end, you know? Like, this is the end of the game. I kind of got that similar feeling whenever I, like, beat one of the final missions in, like, Mario Kart DS. So to be fair, Mario Kart DS has like actual sad music that plays when you get to like the credits of one of those missions. So like that definitely helped the feeling with Mario Kart DS. There's something kind of like subconsciously legendary about Mario Kart DS, and also just legendary in general. But like that music and like the finale of those missions, I felt like a part of my life was done. And honestly, like this area also kind of has that same feeling. You know, like a part of my life is over. It's done. Like, oh my goodness, like. It's something weird. It's something with nostalgia. It's something with like that. You know, like you're climbing on the edge of cliffs. You know, it's like, is it Freudian? Is it Sigmund Freud? Is he here? Is he manipulating the events of Ice Age 2, the Meltdown for the Nintendo Wii? Does he have a part in this? And you see, there's areas like to the right there where there's like more stuff to get, but it's not necessary. At least I don't think it's necessary. Now, if you're doing an 100% run, I'm sure it'll be more necessary, but I'm not doing that. I'm not going to deal with that tedium. I'm sorry, I'm not going to. I prefer to speed run. Just straight get to the objective for this one. And it ended up with a pretty short video. I mean, I'm telling you, the entire game, an hour, 16 minutes. I'm telling you, like, certain games, they do all the boss fights, and it's longer than an hour and 16 minutes. So, hey, you know, it's pretty cool. There's a lot to talk about with Ice Age. See, do you see, like, those little, like, black dots that appear sometimes? I'm telling you, I'm not going to fix that issue until I get a new Nintendo Wii. And I have to get a certain Nintendo Wii. I have to get a Nintendo Wii that can play GameCube games, because apparently the black model of like the Nintendo Wii doesn't play GameCube games. Like there was a certain model that didn't play GameCube games, like the red one. There's like a really cool red Nintendo Wii that its only like malfunction is that it can't play GameCube games. And I think that's also true of the black one. So I'm just gonna have to get the basic like white one. And here, you can kind of just jump down. In fact, I was trying to find a good angle to jump down, but I just fell down by accident. And look at that, no fall damage. But there are 2 polar bears. You have to watch out for those polar bears. And we'll be back to meet those polar bears. I'm not sure if we're gonna be back to meet those polar bears, but I do think I beat the ass of one of the polar bears. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe it already happened. And here we have a little water section. In fact, that's another thing. So this game has swimming mechanics, but it doesn't really require them at all. Like, there's like the one part in the beginning, and then there's like this one part at the end, and like that's really all you need. All the swimming you have to do to like collect the special acorns, you know, like the main story acorns. But like in no other part of the game do you really have to do this unless you're going for like 100% or something. So like main story wise, there is very little need to do the swimming, and it's just kind of like, you know, swimming is just such a nice way to kind of make the area seem much bigger. Like, you know, this section makes this area seem a lot more massive. You have to like swim through a tunnel to get to certain secret areas. You know, I love the vibe of it, and the swimming controls aren't too bad. So I mean, you know, swimming is kind of the bane of the existence of like a lot of games, but honestly, in this game, I do wish it had a bit more of a purpose. And yeah, here I'm gonna beat the ass of this polar bear because there's a bug up there, and I don't want that bug damaging me, so I'm just going to kill these bugs before climbing this wall. But I didn't want to try aiming to kill these bugs until the polar bear was completely, you know, out of the game. So there we go. We killed those bugs and we climbed the wall, and we're chilling, and we're gonna do a little slide. You know, there are things that can hurt us here, but it's not too bad. You know, I mean, if you did Sid the Sloth's like slide is still the hardest part of the game. But yeah, he is so annoying in the second film. He's like genuinely irritating. Like in the first film, he's just kind of like, he talks a lot, you know, he just gets too excited, you know, he's kind of pathetic. But in the second film, it's just kind of like, he kind of gives me similar vibes. So you remember like that one character from Hangover 1, you know, I forgot the name of that character. I forgot the name of the actor. You know, the one with the beard. He had a certain way of acting in like 1 and 2, and then in 3 he's just kind of an asshole and he's obnoxious. And like, I mean, he is kind of like playing as, he's kind of like, I don't know how to describe him in the first and second films, but he makes me chuckle sometimes. But then in the third film, he's just like a knowing asshole with what he does, and it's just like you just don't laugh with him. You're just kind of like, who's this fucking asshole? Like, can you just shut the fuck up? Like, you know, that's kind of the vibe which like Sid the Sloth and like the freaking dude from Hangover 3 give me. So it's just like, and yeah, we're practically done with the game at this point. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. But yeah, and also like just the second film just feels so Illuminations. It feels so Minions. Like the first film, it was trying to have like some emotional core, and like I didn't really care that much because like that baby is ugly as fuck. But it was doing something. In fact, there was a really nice scene in the first film where like, you know, Manny is like recounting his past and like the cave paintings, and like they animate it with like the cave paintings, you know, like his whole backstory. I mean, like I didn't care that much about his backstory, but like the way they presented it, that was a really nice way to present it. It's like, wow, a part of the film that, you know, looks nice. You know, it doesn't look like a really dated CGI film of 21. You know, it's got like a nice little stylistic edge to it. So, you know, I mean, that was cool. But the second film is just like, it's all jokes, it's all gags, and any arcs the character gets are like completely superfluous. And like, yeah, I mean, complaining this hard about a kid's film is pretty cringe, but you know, I'm gonna do it anyway. So, like, Diego in the first film, he had like an actual arc, you know, that like mattered and like made sense. And then you get to like the second film, and it's like, oh, I'm scared of water. I don't want to get in the water. And it's like, I don't give a fuck, bro. And like the third film is exactly the same. I haven't rewatched it, but I do remember what his whole like arc was in the third film. Like Diego's arc in the third film is, oh, I run and then I get tired sometimes. I don't even know where I don't know where I am. Like, dude, he literally just, he gets tired of running. You know, he gets exhausted, and in the finale of the film, he's like, oh, I get exhausted, but then I go again. Like, shut the fuck up. I mean, the third film is also more silly. It's got like T-Rexes in it and all that, and yeah, I don't know. I mean, I hope YouTube doesn't demonetize the video for what I'm doing. And anyways, here I did a little gag where like I made it really green so I don't get copyright claimed, because I wanted to have like a finale to the video, but I didn't want it to like I wanted to have a finale to the video, and I wanted to show this cutscene, you know, a scene from the movie, but I didn't want to get like demonetized, so I just made it super green, you know, because like there's a big pig I show in some of my videos, and that pig is made with a mini pig, and that footage is also copyright claimed for some asinine reason. So, and the way I avoid it is by making that pig really green. Anyways, this is my video. Thank you for watching all the way to the end, and I hope to see you then.